Hello and welcome to this episode of Trish Rock TV and Energy Shift, changing energy, shifting perception. Our special guest this week is the incredible and wise Raelene Byrne Medicine for Your Spirit. Raelene is an internationally recognised energy leader, retreat facilitator and leader, meditation teacher, educator of self-empowerment through self-knowledge, speaker, writer, shamanic practitioner, advanced liquid crystal practitioner, and earth guardian. With decades of remembering, learning, practicing, the one thing that has been a constant in Raelene's life is the power of free will, the expansiveness of stepping into your own unique potential, and the ultimate freedom of being exactly you, always in any moment. Having studied numerous forms of energy healing, energetic healing, vibrational modalities, many forms of body work, spent years in service and support to many Hay House authors and leaders, Raelene has realised that the teachings from ancient times that we all have everything we need within us. And it is actually indeed true. She says, stop, listen, and act on your own inner guidance. As a catalyst for change, Raelene supports people in struggle to build bridges of awareness towards their soul purpose for clarity, flow, and connection in their daily lives. It is my very great honour and pleasure to welcome to the show Raelene. Hello.
Hi, thanks for having me here, Trish.
Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's start with talking a little bit about the work that you do, helping people transition more with all the different modalities that you use, transitioning into the fifth dimension energy that we are now in. How does that look and what does that involve?
Okay, so it is a lot of, there's a lot involved in it actually, because our three-dimensional self has been in governance for over 5,000 odd years. Yeah. That's how long that blueprint or that operating system has been on our planet. And we have that same mental blueprint, which is all about power and separation, control, judgment, all the things that we're now waking up and saying, I don't want that anymore. There's got to be something better.
Yeah.
And so that call, that soul call where, what am I actually here for? What is this all about? Do I just work like this and die? You know, what is this about? What am I here for? Those types of questions are when our soul is saying, all right, it's time to wake up from the illusion. It's time to wake up from this numbness that we've been living. Yeah. So with those questions, we start the journey. And I call it the fourth D, or the fourth dimensional bridge, shifting from our three-dimensional self to our fifth dimensional self, our emotional self.
Yeah.
And all that means is we start to look at things to take us out of what we've known. We start to investigate how we can support ourselves. So we might go and do self-awareness courses. We might do some self-help courses, self-healing. We may go and do yoga, meditation. We start seeking things to help us reconnect to who we are at heart and soul level. This is our fourth dimensional step. Everybody has to go through this because we can't step into the next level of our awareness or our consciousness without connecting back to who we are.
Yeah.
So stepping across that bridge, we then start to come into this new world, this new energy, new human, new earth, new consciousness, level of consciousness that is calling us forward. So fifth dimensional, you know, what is fifth dimension? It's a feeling of collaboration. It's unity. It is peace. It is cooperation. Pardon me. It's almost the opposite of how we've lived.
Yeah.
And it's very emotionally based. So this is one of the things that we're seeing, especially in the last few years, more and more people talking about their feelings. Yeah. Their feelings. So one of the things I've noticed with this shift, you know, fifth dimension, it's knowing who we are. It's a soul-based way of living. It's understanding what we're here for and understanding that our soul has basically written our blueprint. It knows where we're going.
Yes.
So to live in a, inverted commas, fifth dimensional level of consciousness or awareness, we have to go in. We have to go in deeply into ourselves understand our own inner language, understand what our soul is here for, and listen to it and take action as it guides us. So we start to develop our own level of value, our own level of courage, our own direction in life, which is unique. We start to really embody our uniqueness on all levels. And there's more and more people doing this now, and we're seeing it everywhere, and they're flourishing. So this new fifth dimension system is a flourishing system. We get to flourish as who we are.
Absolutely, and really stepping out of that control. And, you know, 5,000 years or more, no wonder it's so difficult to, you know, to do that. But once you've got the courage to step out of the old, it actually starts to flow quite easily. And, you know, I really think the internet and other media across the world has helped with this grip of control loosening as well, because we're all finding the truth now, not being dictated to, and that helps us also choose us over being controlled, and stepping into that flow of feeling and really being authentic. That's what I've really found this year. Have you found that this year, that people are more they just want to be their authentic self, and they're searching for the way?
Yeah, and you can't get it externally. You've got to go witin. It's something that it's within us. Yeah. And this is something I've noticed this year, and I've been working with it this year. And it is there's a universal law, and universal laws are constant through time. Yeah. But this universal law that states everything that's meant to be mine in this life will be at the right time. Right? So we have that universal law, right? Now, in our old three-dimensional world, that universal law was governed by time being linear.
Yes.
And so time in the natural world, if anybody really steps back and looks at the natural world around us, looks at the heavens, looks at what's going on in the universe, time is not linear, it's cyclic. Yes. Everything is cyclic. Yeah. Our body is cyclic. Our organs switch on and off at various times in a 24-hour day. So we've got all these cycles going on within us and around us, yet we're trying to measure time in a linear fashion.
Yes.
So in that old world, it meant we were chasing, struggling, striving, pushing, never enough time, running out of time. Yeah. And that just kept us in that never enough. Yeah. Now, in this new fifth dimension world we're stepping into, we're understanding the universal law is translating something different, because we're understanding that our feelings are cyclic. Yes. They're like the tide, they rise and they fall away. They fall and they recede. Yes. And so that universal law for us translates to this, and this is where the law of attraction is upgrading. This is the simplicity of it. Yeah. Everything that's meant to be mine in this life will be when I have the right feeling.
Oh, I love that. What a beautiful mantra. Yeah.
That is what fifth dimensional thing is, when we know how we want to feel.
Yeah, yeah.
We know how we want to feel, and we can visualize that. Whatever it is, that can match us.
I'll quote that in the comments, because people might like to write that down somewhere, that the people who are listening. What a fabulous law of the universe, but a mantra just to have there. It gets you out of that struggle and lack of always reaching for something. Yeah.
Yes, because as we know, whatever we want to have or create or inverted commas manifest in our life, it comes from in here. Yes. So if we have the right feelings, yes, we are at one with the universe, because we are in the cycle of energy.
Yes.
Whereas when we're doing the linear stuff, it's very mental, it's very one-pointed, and it's very direct, and that's fine, but it's not real. Yes. And at the time that we have been measured with, yeah, in our human consciousness up until now, is been to keep us chasing things.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Everything always seems like it's always just ahead. It's just there. Yeah. Can't quite reach it. Yeah.
Yeah. Not quite enough time. I just need a bit more time. And it's not true. Work on your feelings and everything works with you.
Yeah.
So easy.
Absolutely. So that leads me into, you talk to large corporate crowds, and, I know that amongst that energy, their thought process is changing too. So are they starting, is there more and more people in that corporate level that are starting to understand that the linear is not working in business either. It's, you really have to have the connection and the inner connection as well to for your business to flourish. Is there more people kind of understanding that now?
Oh, look, absolutely, Trish. I first started speaking in this corporate world maybe 10 years ago. And I'll share this little story. It's a cracker.
Okay.
When I first
would have been a hard crowd 10 years ago.
It was. And I'd only ever spoken in the spiritual world. I'd only ever done stuff in that inverted commas spiritual world.
Yeah.
And I was invited to speak for this group. And there was, I don't know, 300 or something people there.
Mm.
And everything in me was like, right, I've never done this before. These are hard nuts to crack.
Yeah.
So what can I do to grab their attention? I need to get their attention so they actually tune in and listen and not just roll their eyes and go, oh, do we have to listen to this? So what I decided to do, without telling the person who organised the event, I hired a magician's cape from neck to the floor.
Mm.
And in my everyday life, I've got a set of fairy wings, and they're my party trick. I put my fairy wings on the dress ups and stuff. So I was in a room off the stage being introduced. I didn't tell anyone what I was going to do. I put the cape on it, and the outside of the cape I put the wings. And when I got introduced, I opened the door and walked out. I had to walk a little way and up a stage. And as I walked out, I watched the whole crowd, and this real shudder went right across the room. And every set of eyes turned towards the organiser, and you could basically hear what they were saying. It was so loud. And I took this deep breath and went, I'm in it now. I've got to keep going. I walked up, got in front of everyone, took a breath, and I just scanned the audience. I was terrified at the time because this is a different audience. And then something in me just came up, and all that came out of me was, every single one of you is in judgment right now.
Oh.
And then I took a breath, and then I undid everything and dropped it. And I went, okay, and this is what I'm here to talk to you about, how easy it is to shift from one thing to another.
Yes. Oh,
so yes, and I got their attention. And since then I've been invited to speak at lots of events. And I have noticed the transition. As people started to open up, I get a trickling of people who want to come and work with me from that world.
Yes.
Now it's like a flood. I go and speak there, and the way I speak, you've got to talk their language.
Yes.
You can't go in and talk star language and crazy, esoteric stuff. And I don't mean it in a bad, judgmental way, but they need to see the practicality.
Absolutely.
And the simplicity. And to give them techniques and processes to do, they have to be simple, efficient, effective, and fast.
And you have to kind of show how it plays out in their world too. So something energetic, you've got to give that practical example of how it would actually help them.
Absolutely. So it has changed a lot, because not only are, us people who've been working on this for decades aware of the change that's going on, a lot of people out in the world are waking up, but they don't know what's going on. They're struggling. They're in chaos. They're stagnant. Yeah. Things that used to work for them 5 years ago aren't working for them anymore. No. And they keep doing the same thing. It's like, well, it's not going to work. No. You have to have a different way of seeing it.
Yes.
Or you're upgrading, or people don't understand why everything's falling apart in their life. Yeah. So this is what I go in and talk to people about, how they can reclaim their soul purpose, like really connect to their soul purpose and find their way forward with that, and that give them tools and techniques. But there are more and more people in that world who are calling more and more people like myself in to help them, because we've been doing it for so long. We've practiced. Yes. We understand how things work. We understand what doesn't work. And so we can share things with people and refine whatever they've been told, or give them processes that take 2 or 3 minutes, and they're done. And it works.
And it works.
Things have sped up.
Yeah.
When you look back over 15 years ago, the whole thing around meditation, for example, you had to sit and meditate for so long, which is great. I'm a meditator and I love that.
Yes.
But there are days when life is really hectic and you don't have that time for it. And but you can do a 2-minute or a 3-minute meditation and get very strong benefits from it if you know what you're doing.
Absolutely. And I think even just telling people that, and I certainly say that to my audiences too, because, people have that vision of a long period of meditation and they immediately dismiss it. They go, no, I can't do it. But, giving the different options, it still has a good effect on them. And I love that, real leaders now like Gary Vaynerchuk is promoting happiness over money. Not that there's anything wrong with money, but at the end of the day, if you're happy, that's your success. And when people like that and other leaders are promoting that, I think the people who are the non-believers are kind of starting to go, yeah, you know what, there is something different. There's something different, and I need to be open to it. So that's helping your message, get into the hearts of those people.
Yeah. It's a contagious thing at the moment. It's like well, for want of a better word, a happy disease that's moving through everybody and just touching people. And some people are very resistant. They're going, I don't want to know about it. But people around them are going, well, I've been working with this lady and this is what's happening and my life has never been better, or other people. And so those who are very resistant, they're getting left behind.
Yes. Yeah.
And they eventually will yield, But what's happening in the past, we would reach out and go, let me do it for you. These days, it's like, this is what you need to do it or don't. That has nothing to do with me.
Absolutely. And we all get there in the end, so there's no hurry and there's no race. So when you're ready.
Yeah. And the other thing you said about money, this is a thing I've noticed, because the world I speak in, it's a lot about wealth creation stuff. I'm not into that stuff myself. I respect it. But what I've found, and this might be interesting to some of the people watching this, what I've found, especially in the last 12 months, more and more hard. It's taking a lot more effort. It's really hard for people to get that wealth flow that they're craving.
Yes.
Following systems and all the control ways of doing it. Okay. And what I found is this: money has an energy, and we know this. Money has an energy that is all around power.
Yes.
And a lot of people who have got very powerful positions have got there with money. All right.
Yes.
But what a lot of us have got going on in our DNA, deep buried in our DNA, which is coming to the surface to be healed right now, is power equates to corruption and destruction.
Ah, okay. And that's a generational belief from, thousands and thousands of years. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, and for thousands of years. And it's coming up. So we're realizing that I may want to have more. That's why the word abundance is taking on a different connotation. The whole thing around money, it gets a sticky sort of feel to it. Whereas you talk about abundance, that's more about when I'm feeling good in me. When I'm full, my value is strong and my respect for self is strong, and I know where I'm going, I know who I am, and I'm willing and prepared to do what that takes to stay in my soul journey.
Absolutely.
That's living a life of abundance.
Absolutely.
It's completely different to working, I've got to work to make money. It's completely different. And this is what this move is happening. For a lot of people in the world I go and speak in, they're starting to see if they work on themselves, their flow is better. Way better.
It's not the hard push anymore. And I use abundance in a lot of my work, and there are still three-dimensional people who say to me, abundance is so generic, it doesn't mean anything. But for me and the people who understand it, it means freedom and joy, and it's not, and money energy is part of that, but it's not just the accumulation of wealth. And so I think it's a much better word actually.
Yeah, but it's abundance of self. If you work on the abundance of self, as we said, how do I want to feel?
Yes.
This is how that is where the abundant flow comes from.
Absolutely, and the universe will support anything you ask for when you're in that state.
Oh, so, yes. I love that. I love that the universe comes in and supports us. And that's another thing happening I've noticed with fifth dimensional stuff is in our three-dimensional world or our old operating system, we would often have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E. what we were actually saying was, I don't believe in myself enough, so I'm going to dilute my potency and have all these backup plans just in case.
That's right.
So we've already diluted what we were wanting, whereas this new world is, I know what my soul purpose is. I'm on my train tracks. I just need to be following that, listening to that, taking action. There's only one outcome. What I'm heading towards, as soon as we make that commitment, bam, the safety nets come in. The universe or high consciousness or our high consciousness, whatever it is, brings that support in. We don't have to put it in place because our journey is not to dilute our purpose. It's to stay potent and really commit to where we're going.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've experienced that quite a few times in my life, as you know. And, you know, there's still people who kind of say, how can you just jump off the cliff without growing your wings first? It's like, well, you know, I'd never jump off if that was the case. You know, I know where I want to be, so I move toward it. And it's just that trust in things, and there's no logic in it, but there is an underlying vision and like a plan, but of how I want to feel at the end of it. That's my plan. So things are changing, absolutely, in a good way. The other beautiful work that you do is your gorgeous labyrinths and your full moon blessings and evenings. Tell us a little bit about how you got started with that.
Okay, so I run Labyrinths of Light and I do serpent walks as well. So they're all to do with candlelight. It's about bringing things to life. The labyrinth thing's got a little bit of a story. So I adore labyrinths. I love labyrinths because for me, that is a pure representation of fifth dimensional living.
Right.
Because when you're in a labyrinth, it's one direction. You're only walking. You are following the path to the core, to the center of who you are. You don't have to second guess yourself like in a maze.
Yes.
If you imagine a maze, you've got high walls, you can't see where you're going, and you're in it, and you're double backing, and you're coming to dead ends, and you're taking wrong turns. That to me is the mental living.
Yes.
Because you've got to think your way through a maze.
And it's actually a great example of third dimension living.
Yeah, that's what I show the corporate people. I put up a big image of a maze and go, this is how you've been living.
Yes.
This is what happens. And then you put up a picture of a labyrinth, and it's this constant flow. You are just following the path to the core of who you are.
Oh, I love that.
And then you unravel. You touch that, and then you unravel and come out of that labyrinth. And there's no second guessing. So that's why labyrinths can be a meditative walk, because you are trusting and in flow of where you're going.
Yes.
It's very fifth dimensional.
Yes.
And it's also very sacred. So because I love them so much, I decided quite a few years ago, this is a bit of the history stuff. I really struggle with Anzac Day and with Remembrance Day.
Okay.
And yes, we want to celebrate those who have fallen. We want to celebrate our freedom and all that, but we're still celebrating warfare and the results of it. So I remember somewhere on Remembrance Day, I think it was in a shopping centre one day, and I heard them say it's Remembrance Day, we're having a minute silence, whatever they do at 11 a.m. And I was sitting there going, I don't want to think about war. I actually want to think about how we can change things for the future.
Yeah.
And then it came to me, right, 11:11 is your day. Create a labyrinth of light for people to remember who they are, and they also have the power to change where they're going.
Beautiful.
We can change, year by year, thought by thought, step by step, our attitude towards warfare and conflict and separation every time we walk our own personal labyrinths in ourselves. Keep connected to who we are, which is not that, which is collaboration, oneness, unity. We walk that every day. Let's take that into a bigger event where a community comes together and we set that powerful intent and we ripple that out into the world year after year after year. So that was what came to me about the Labyrinth of Light, to change people's way of seeing that they can create a different future, and it has to start with them.
Yes, yep.
So that's what happened. And a lot of my moon celebrations, I create crystal grids for those, and they just come to me, and the meaning, the significance of them. So we create this beautiful crystal grid. I have loads and loads of candles. So
Yes.
like with the Labyrinth of Life, it's like I have like 400 to 500 candles in that.
Oh, your labyrinths are just beautiful. And for anybody listening, if you haven't seen them, head over to Raelene's page. I'll put the links here, because when you see, they're just an artwork. They're just so beautiful. And yes, there's hundreds of candles and crystals.
Yes. Well, my thing is, to embody a new awareness, you need to have an experience.
Yes.
So you can sit in a room and meditate, and that's a wonderful thing. But if you can sit in a room with other people and have an experience where you're feeling the energy shift and you're actually contributing and we're doing work with it, that is something that alters you as well.
Yes.
So I like to create experiences. So that's what the crystal grids were about, and the labyrinths and the serpent walk. You know, it's to create an experience for people to shift something in themselves, and it gives them a new reference point.
Yeah, really powerful. I love that. And I have walked labyrinths before, and look, they're powerful on your own, but yeah, in a group, the energy is always more powerful, and it is more of an experience. So yeah,
definitely. It's very elevating.
Absolutely. So Raelene, tell us about your book. You have a new book just been published.
Oh, I do. I have it here.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Alchemy of Awareness. And I love that, because, you know, you do work with a lot of modalities that are about alchemy. It's about the magic of changing. It's about the awareness of change. So tell us about the book.
Well, it's 52 chapters, and they're all very simple. And the way that you work with the book, it's all about awareness. And because the thing with awareness is that's where healing starts and ends.
Yes.
Healing cannot occur, or be embodied until there's a moment of awareness.
Yes.
And that is what we find in ourselves.
Yes.
As soon as if you're with somebody, whether it's a counselor, a psychologist, a healer, a Reiki person, it doesn't matter what they're offering. But when someone can hold that space for another person, and that person has an awareness, that's when the healing begins.
Yes.
But that person who's seeking it, they're their own healer. Because once you have awareness, you can never plead ignorance.
Absolutely.
You can never unknow it.
Yeah, and I don't believe that any of us heal anyone else. We heal ourselves. But
Exactly.
as a facilitator for that, we bring the awareness, and we open up that little portal of, it's that awareness of self, and that's when the healing can start. It's really powerful.
That's it. So this book is all about soul work. It's connecting to the soul. It's very simple, very practical, very adaptable, very readable.
Yep.
And it is 52 chapters. And the idea is, you can read it chapter at a time. The idea is to be able to pick it up each day and, like an oracle card, put it to your heart, go, okay, what do I need to work on today? What do I need to know today? What awareness will help me get through this day or this week, right? And then you just open it up anywhere. So I've just opened it up now, and this is the declaration. Yeah, I've just opened up on this page.
Yes.
The chapter is breathe. And the declaration here is, today I embrace every inhalation as a new beginning. I let every exhalation release what is not for me. I breathe my life into the wholeness I am.
Oh, beautiful.
And each chapter has some, information, wisdom, awareness, and it has a declaration and activities to embody that awareness. So I've got a few people working with it differently. I've got a couple of people who are going through it and using one chapter a week.
I was just going to say, there's 52. Yeah, you could just do one chapter a week. It was a real study program, isn't it? Like the Course in Miracles, it's kind of a study program. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I never wrote it that way, but that's how it's turning out. And I have some other people who are using it as they are in leadership roles, and they are using it with the people they're training in leadership roles. And what they're doing is intuitively, which cracks me up, intuitively picking a chapter for the people they're at training and going, right, this is your chapter. So each day what they've done is they send a paragraph from the chapter, each individual chapter for their group, send a paragraph to them and go, okay, this is what you need to do today, work with this. And after 7 days, the person who told me this technique said it was amazing, the transformation that everybody went through.
Incredible.
So this is all about waking up to yourself,
Yes.
understanding. And also, you know, my big thing with this, because I'm a we person, we're all in this together. There's a collaboration, and we're all moving together. When I do something in my life, it's not just me doing it. I'm doing something, but it ripples out and touches other people.
Yes.
So this is really about us all having different moments of awareness, but it's filling the collective. There's a lot. I use the collective consciousness a lot in this book.
Yeah.
Because everything we do, we're adding to it. So this is the key. And this is fifth dimensional stuff again.
Yeah.
Everything we think, say, feel, and do, we have to live to a much higher caliber.
Well, it is. Everything's collaborative. It really is, because nothing's separate. So
Exactly.
yeah.
But higher caliber, we've got to. If you're having a thought going on, this is where mindful living comes in. You're having a thought process. It's like, well, hang on, what do I actually want? Okay, I want this. So you've got to lift your thought into something that's more expansive and more spacious and open, because really consciousness is this energetic form that's moving forward and out all the time. It's expanding forward and out.
Yes.
It doesn't have time to pull the handbrake on and reverse and go back to 10 or 15 years ago and deal with stuff there. It's constantly moving forward. So this is what this is sort of about. This book is about how we can keep moving forward. When you're falling over, here, try this. When you're repeating something, try this. It's about, let's let the handbrake off and let's keep rolling forward. Let's keep the momentum, connecting to the consciousness and move with it.
Oh, I love that. And people, obviously, it's healing. Your ripples have gone out already, and it's already doing its healing work in ways you didn't expect.
I have no idea. I just open it up, and that's my message for today.
Oh, that's brilliant. And this is your first book, Raelene?
It is my first book. And again, this whole thing, it's a process of flow. I've been thinking about it, mucking around with trying to write a book for years, and it wasn't until January the 1st this year, I woke up in the morning and the very, very first thought that crossed my awareness was, you've got to do something different in your life to make a change this year.
Yes.
Okay, what's that going to look like? And I sat there and closed my eyes, and I saw the image. I saw myself on the stage holding up 4 books, and I sort of went, so I've got to write books now. and that sort of, this whole thing flowed. It just flowed because I was in the right alignment in myself for it.
Right timing.
If I tried to do it 4 years ago, I would never have done it, and I probably would not have done it now. But instead of putting pressure on myself to go, I've got to get a book, everyone's telling me I've got to put a book out.
Yes.
When I hear that, this is me, this is my little free will self. Yeah. As soon as someone says, you have to do this, I just...
No, I
don't. I'm going to do what I want to do. So when, all the time, you've got to write a book, it's like, what have I got to write about? Everything is out there already, because everything we need to know, we already have in here. We already have it.
Absolutely.
However, people don't get that until they get it. And so, as I said, connecting to your heart is a process. Yes. And we need all the help we can get to get there. So anyone putting books out or videos or courses or meditation events, it's all about helping people find and connect to who they are. That's all it is.
It is, and each individual person says it in a different way, and that reaches different people, and it's all needed. So with the books, I started writing a book back in 2014 because it was something I had to do. Right? I think I got about 10,000 words in, and I'm like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. But I've started writing again this year, and I've got another 10,000 words which I can incorporate with the other. But it's right time now, and things have to be the right time, and that's exactly what you're teaching the corporate groups as well. If we're still in that individual pushing through things, then it's not really the right time, is it? If it's a push, it has to flow and it has to kind of feel right. And as a creative, when it flows, it's not hard.
Exactly. And Trish, the other thing with this is that a lot of stuff that was written back in the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s was written from a mental perspective.
Yes.
Very mental. And a lot of the stuff, there's so many people putting books out now, so many, because they're coming from more of a soul or an emotional level.
Yes.
And when I talk about emotions, I'm not saying the boo-hoo, I'm a mess, not that. That's emotional. That's emotions all over the place.
Yes.
The emotional feeling that, okay, so for me, you know, if someone says to me, what is that? What do you mean by emotions and feelings? This is the only way I can describe it is, I believe, this is only my belief, I believe that our feelings and emotions are a language, our own personal language, where our soul is trying to get us to pay attention to something.
Yes.
And so the emotions I have around things are going to be completely different to the person next to me, even though we might be doing exactly the same thing.
Yes.
Our biochemistry, our perspectives, our life history, our experience, everything is so different.
Yes.
That the messages we're going to get through our emotional or feeling state is going to be different.
Yes.
So that's why when we're looking at this emotional world, which is heart-based, this is why we have to know who we are and what's going on for us. We have to understand our own inner language.
Yes, yes. And, you know, that's another, you know, that's where I've come from as well, of being in the external blame of everyone else for how I was feeling. And now I take responsibility for everything I feel. And that's a big difference. That is being aware of my own power to choose how I feel and not allow the external to dictate that. So that's been a big shift for me, and I know a big shift for a lot of my clients, but that's really what you're saying there, is to take responsibility for yourself, and that's where the change happens.
Well, that's right, because in our old three-dimensional operating system, we were only allowed to be as valuable or as valued as what the external world gave us permission to be. And that was through everything, through the school system, through university, through work situations. We could never go up to a new level unless somebody else thought that we were valuable enough.
Yes.
Couldn't get a pay rise unless someone thought that you were worth it.
Yes.
So everything in our old self was governed around having to be what other people needed from us for us to feel of value.
Yes.
Now, the new world, the new operating system is really simple. You wake up every day, you put your hand on your heart and you say, today I value myself and all that I am. I'm willing and prepared to do what that takes. Show me.
Yes.
And so we start working on our own sense of value and worth. It doesn't matter what other people think, because when we know it, anything less than what we are for ourselves cannot be a part of our life. It cannot be a part of our world.
Absolutely. And that's also helping dispel that 5,000-year stuff has been in our heads, that you know, only the evil people, or the ones who are corrupt, successful money-wise and all that kind of thing. So it's really helping break through that too, because when you really are aware of your own value, you can see beyond all of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And whatever you do isn't about, I need to do this to feel valued. You already are it.
Yes.
And so when you have really strong sense of value, so much comes to you, because like attracts like.
Yes. And
you're always going to have great opportunities and great invitations for other things coming, because you're valuing yourself. You're not hoping that you're enough. You're not hoping that someone sees that you're worth it.
That's right. Yeah.
You are it.
And that's really valuable advice to everybody listening. And then you're, you know, what you do then is go and experience joy.
Exactly.
and serve other people in that process. And
yep.
Yeah.
And it also helps you really master what other people think of me is none of my business.
Yes.
It really helps you master that.
Yes.
Because if I value myself, it doesn't matter what someone else thinks about me. That has no relevance in my life.
It's one of the toughest things, isn't it? It's one of the toughest things for humans, to not care what other people think about them, because we've been trained to care, and for other people's opinions to shape our lives. So it's really one of those things that's quite difficult to snap out.
Well, that's the old system, and this is what it looks like. You don't mind if I share this analogy with you? Because this is
please do. Yeah.
When you get a wild bird and you put it in a cage,
yes,
that wild bird, like an eagle or a hawk or something that's, you know, sovereign in himself, and you put them in a cage, over time, that bird loses its instincts.
Yes.
It learns to become obedient.
Yeah.
It gets fed, it gets taken care of, but it's contained, and it learns to become obedient. Obedience is a belief structure we all have on a subconscious level, and what it means is obedience equates to disempowerment. That's what it is.
Yes. I love
So
it.
you're looking at this bird in a cage, and one day the door opens and the bird flies out. Now, someone like me would jump up and down and go, oh my God, the bird's free, yay. But the reality is the bird isn't free, it's in fear.
Yes.
It's flapping around. It doesn't know where it's going because it doesn't remember who it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have its instincts. It's been lost.
Yes.
So it's flapping around in fear, flying around. It has no idea where it's going. This is what's happening a lot in the world.
Yes. Yeah. And the instincts are our connection. The instincts are our connection.
Exactly. And obedience has disconnected us from that.
Yes.
So this is where more and more people stepping into this new reality or this new awareness around fifth dimension, let's say it's fifth dimension. The words we're hearing more and more is authenticity, uniqueness. Yes. These are things that can't be contained, and they can't be put into a level of obedience because they're so unique to each person. We're breaking out of that cage. Yes. But what we're going through is a lot of the fear and not quite knowing where we were going. Flapping around. We're doing all this stuff, flapping around. Where am I going? Don't know where I'm going. That's where people like yourself, myself, lots of other people in this world, we've already done it. We did it years ago. We know what's ahead.
Yes.
So it's helping people connect into their soul. You know, your soul actually knows where it is. Let's reconnect you back to that instinct.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when you have that,
you
won't flapping around. You actually know where you're going.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to really bring a lot of clarity to many of the people listening here who are in that. It'll really, I think there'll be some aha moments there. So thank you. Oh, awesome.
Well, yeah, you see these things, and if you can put it in a simple way, people go, I've got it.
Yes.
They've broken free. You know, they're out. They know where they're going.
Yeah, there's that little portal in them opens and they're aware and they've got it, and that's where it all starts, and it's so exciting. I love it when I see that in other people. It's like, yes, they're on their way.
Yeah, and you know, that's job well done. You've held the space for them to get there. Now it's up to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really cool.
Absolutely. So with your book, I would love everybody to have a copy of this and for them to study it and use it in a way. Oh, and just getting back to what you were saying before about the, becoming more aware and more self-empowered. When you have those days where you're not feeling that way, that's a perfect opportunity to flip your book open and find that those words or that exercise or the practice that you have in that chapter to bring back to self.
Yeah, because it's that moment of awareness. And you know what, Trish, this is really, really important. And this is something that I've introduced into that corporate world, and I'll share this with everybody here.
Yes.
In our old world, and I talk about linear time, people were growing at such a rate, they wanted to keep going, keep going, keep going. So it's like looking at a staircase that just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. It just doesn't, there's no break. It just, you keep going up and up and up.
Yeah.
Now, if anything happens when you're going on this journey, where you just keep accelerating all the time, if some type of chaos or something unknown happens and you fall all the way back to the very start.
Oh,
and you've got to grow again.
Have been there.
In this new world, this is how I say it to people, and this is what I think books like this is about. You look at a stairwell. You've got a case of stairs, and then you have a plateau. Then you have another level of stairs, and then a plateau. Now, that plateau area is critical.
Yes.
Because that's where everything, that first staircase, this is the analogy, everything you've learned, everything you've grown through, everything you've moved and shifted has to integrate. So we get to a plateau, we get to a landing.
Yes.
Everything has to integrate. And they're the times that people go, nothing much is happening in my life. I'm stuck. I had all this growth. What's going on? Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. They go into this mental chaos because most of us aren't used to going, all right, this is about taking care of myself now, because everything's integrating. And the reason why we need to have those times is because when you look at nature, Nothing is going full bore all the time.
No.
Everything has cycles. So in our stairwell, you go up the stairs, you come to a plateau. Beautiful. Yes. Okay, nothing much is happening seemingly, but what I can do is take really good care of myself because I am integrating everything I've done, lifting my frequency and my vibration for the next level of growth.
Yes.
So then we start the next level. We come out of the, so-called, nothing much is happening. Well, actually, a lot has happened.
Yes.
And we got the next stairwell. What happens is if something unseen happens as you're going up the next stairwell and you tumble back, you fall down, you only come back to that reference point, that first plateau.
Yes.
Because it's integrated.
Yes.
That's your new reference point.
Then
you go from there, you come to another stairwell landing, another integration point, another reference point. So when I actually share this with people in that world where they're all that striving and struggling, you can see people just sort of go, this relief.
Yes.
Because so many people think if nothing much is happening, then something's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing with that too is that a lot of people want to stay busy because it distracts them from how they're feeling. Exactly. So there's two things there. But yeah, if I have felt that in the past too, it's like, oh gosh, everything stopped. What? It's kind of like it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. It's like, oh, everything stopped. Oh well, nothing to do but rest.
And do things that you love doing.
Yes. Yeah.
You feel yourself. They're the times you do incredible self-care and feel yourself and you catch up with friends and you do all the things that you love.
Yeah.
Have a little holiday, go to the beach each day, do yoga, do meditation, journal, take time out. They're the times you're doing a lot. And people have forgotten that our energy body is on high action all the time. Absolutely. So we need these seemingly nothing much is happening times because we need to regroup.
We do. It's like having a little rest on that landing, isn't it? We're exhausted after going up the 20 steps, and so we need a little rest before we go up the next. So that's a really great.
And it's catch your breath to grow again, so you've got stamina for the next thing, but at a different level because you can't go backwards. We just can't go backwards anymore.
No. And who would want to, right?
Well, good question. As soon as we look at something from the past, we've gone backwards.
Backwards, yes. Yes.
This is what I'm saying with consciousness. It only moves forward and out.
Yes.
So everything is about us. How do I keep moving forward? I'm aware that this has happened. Yes. And I know how it's affected me, but I get to choose how I move through that right now. I don't have to analyze it anymore. I don't have to relive it. I just have to choose right now. What's my next step? What's my next thought? What's my next feeling? What's my next action right now?
Yeah, because staying back there is just creating more of it, and people don't kind of understand that. Plus if it was something traumatic that happened, your body's feeling it as if it happened yesterday. So it's keeping you in that stress level and everything in that on guard kind of energy, isn't it? So yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, where can people get your book? I'll have all the links up here. Is your website the best place for them to go?
Yes, it's on my website, www.raelenebyrne.com. It's also on Amazon and it's also at Barnes & Noble. I've only got the hard copy at present. The ebook is going to be going up in the next month at those places. But yeah, it's there and it's easy. And if anyone wants to contact me for any other information, please, you can contact me at that email address or that website. I've got email contact forms there.
Beautiful.
And I'm running lots of little things going on. I'm actually going to be doing courses with this very, very shortly. I do have a snake event. Snake, doesn't that sound very... it's a serpent walk of light, a snake medicine walk of light at summer solstice, and that is a complete rebirthing and transformational experience.
Wow.
I love it. But it's a shape when a snake sheds its skin, it sheds all its skin. It also sheds the lens over its eyes at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
So this experience is shedding the year, shedding all that has been that is no longer there, and having a new vision to realise, that this is who you are becoming. So it's a really beautiful event. That's on the Sunshine Coast, and I think I've got tickets. They may not be on my website yet, but they're on my Facebook page, and it's an event, and it's at Eventbrite as well.
Fabulous. I'll have all those links are here for people to connect with you. That sounds amazing. Yeah. And of course, people can connect with you to work with you as well, and to get the help that they need for where they are. Yeah.
And I regularly go to Melbourne and Sydney each year, and I have a few days in Brisbane from time to time as well.
Yeah.
So I'm very accessible.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you, and you're such an incredible person and such a beautiful soul, changing the world.
Thank you so much, Trish, and good luck with everything. And it's been beautiful talking with you. You know, you and I are very similar in many ways. We just love talking about that stuff that we love. We can't help ourselves.
Absolutely. That's why I started this show, because I just love talking to people and everything that people do with healing and energy, because everybody does it in a different way. And I just find it fascinating because it's all really powerful work. And, you know, basically it's all kind of got the same ending. We're making people aware of themselves and opening up that opportunity for them to be empowered and healed and live their life of purpose.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you everybody for watching. All the contact details are here for Raelene, and definitely check out her book and her classes and her Labyrinths of Life. They're just amazing. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope to see you next week on our next episode of Trish Rock TV. Bye for now.